Welcome again to the old principle. We're going to study again a little English. This is lesson number 143, and it's entitled Coping with Death. Okay, coping, 应付死亡. Now this is not exactly a happy story, but it is my story. 这个是真正的是我的故事. So occasionally you'll hear a story, but actually this is as much about my father as it is anything else. So let's ask Mrs. Ash to join us here. And you have one more story to read to us, okay? There you go.
When I was about 11 years old, tragedy struck our home. One day, Mother collapsed. Her back hurt so much that she couldn't move. It was so bad that she could barely crawl to the phone to call Dad. "Something's wrong," she moaned. "My back hurts so much. I can't walk." Dad rushed home and took Mom to the hospital. The doctors said she had a rare bone disease that made her very weak. For many weeks, she lived in the hospital. During that time, we all had to do everything without her help. Monday through Friday, my brother and I went to school. I don't remember visiting Mom very much. I'm sure it must have been a sad time for her. Until the day she died, I didn't realize her disease would be terminal. But my father went to the hospital every morning before work and again every evening. These must have been sad days for him too, but he bore it quietly. It's a credit to his internal strength that we never detected the seriousness of the situation. One day we learned that Mom was coming home, but not as we had expected. Mom lay in a hospital bed in our living room. And a few weeks later, she returned to the hospital. But even then, I didn't comprehend that she was dying. Several more weeks went by. One day, Father came to school and took us out of class. He said, "Boys, it's time to go home. Mother has passed away." Perhaps psychologists would say that the loss of my mother greatly affected me. It's probably true. Perhaps I've forgotten just how painful it was, but I'm still surprised at how well I coped with it all. I guess we all gained strength from the quiet dignity of my father, who would not openly allow himself to be overcome with excessive grief.
Of course, you knew my dad.
Yes.
For many, many years. So you knew that my dad was a very quiet individual.
Yes.
A quiet person. And we have said, actually talked many times, that maybe one reason why he was so quiet was because he had a lot of pain.
Yes.
A lot of pain inside. And he didn't know how to express it. 不知道他里面所有的痛苦。没有办法，不晓得怎么样发表出来。
That's true.
He just couldn't bring it out. So he was quiet, But he was a nice man. He was.
Very disciplined, though.
Very disciplined. He had a reason for everything.
That's right.
Very careful. 他的生活是非常有规律的。Okay, 条条有理. Very orderly.
Yes.
That was my dad. Okay, so now we've already told you about my dad. I need to tell you the rest of the story too. Okay, coping with death, number 143. I must say that not every program that we have is always the happiest, but life is like this. We have the good and we have the bad. We have the happy and we have the sad, 难过. So this is life. This is the way life is. So let's go on. When I was about 11 years old, 11岁的时候, tragedy struck our home. Okay, in this case, tragedy, 灾难, 就临到. Okay, 临到. 灾难临到我们的家. One day, mother collapsed. Okay, what does it mean to collapse? Okay, 垮下来, 崩溃. In other words, she could not stand up. She fell down to the floor. Going on, her back hurt so much. Her back, 她的腰部, 她的背, hurt that she could not move. 没办法动，动的没有办法动。It was so bad that she could barely crawl to the phone to call Dad. 这个痛苦到这个地步 could barely 很难的难，差一点没办法 barely crawl 爬 crawl to 爬 to the phone to call Dad 为了要打一个电话给我的爸爸 Actually, I still remember the room and where the phone was that she called and to call my dad and say, hey, I have a problem going on. Something's wrong. Something's wrong, she moaned. Moaning is kind of, it's not crying, but it's with a lot of emotion. 很多感情 moaned. It's a sad thing. Moan. My back hurts so much. 我的腰部痛得甚至于我没办法走路 I cannot walk. 我没办法走路 Going on. Dad rushed home. What does it mean to rush home? 急急忙忙的快快的 maybe home and took Mom to the hospital. Now, interestingly enough, she was a nurse. 我母亲是一个护士 and she worked at this hospital. So this was where she worked. 她工作的地方就是那个医院. But now my father rushed home and took my mother to the hospital. The doctors said, 医生说他们的判断 she had a rare bone disease that made her very weak. 使她很软弱是什么东西啊? A rare bone disease. 骨头病 okay, bone disease. What does it mean to be rare? Well, rare has different meanings at different times. Rare, 很难得 is rare. But in this case, a rare bone disease simply means it's a disease that very few, 很少人就犯这种病, okay? It's rare. It's a rare bone disease. Not too many people have this. But my mother had this problem going on. For many weeks, she lived in the hospital. For many weeks, she lived in the hospital. Of course, she couldn't come home. She was in a... And during that time, we all had to do everything without her help. During this time, 过这个时间, we had to work around the house, cooking, cleaning the house, 这个清洁家呢，煮饭呢, all these things without 没有她的帮助. So we didn't have her help. Monday through Friday, 周间, Monday through Friday, 周间, 星期一到星期五, my brother and I went to school, of course. 我们要上学.很遗憾. I'm sorry to say this, but I don't remember visiting Mom very much. I just don't remember going to the hospital to visit her very much. Okay, going on. I'm sure it must have been a sad time for her. 肯定这个时间她很难过。我相信她是非常非常难过。Until the day she died, I didn't realize her disease would be terminal. 直到她死的日子，我根本没有意识到她的病 is terminal. Have you ever heard of the word terminal? When I'm on the train and the train says, we're at the terminus. Terminus. Terminal is a 终点站. That's on a train. A terminal disease means that you will die. Okay? A terminal disease. If we use it, sometimes she is very sick and there is no hope, 没有希望. So I didn't realize that the disease would be terminal. Going on. But my father went to the hospital every morning before work. 他还没有上班之前，他是去医院去看他。Every morning, he went to the hospital before work, and again every evening, 每一个晚上，他也去医院去看他。And of course, we children sometimes went, but not so often, not so often. And that's, of course, now makes me sad. 使我很遗憾, okay? These must have been sad days for him. Of course, for him also, it was very sad because he knew that the sickness was terminal. Of course, my mother knew too because she was a nurse. So she understood these things. But he bore it quietly. Okay? 他是默默的忍受 to bear something. To bear something is 忍受 Okay, 忍受 to be patient. It's a credit to his internal strength. Now this is a hard one and I'm not sure, but let's see if I can explain it. It's a credit to his internal 内在的力量. Okay. You could say credit, meaning in this case, 可赞美的. Or it's something that you can say is pretty special. That he had this internal strength. Okay? That we never detected. 我们没有发觉. Of course, I don't know. Sometimes children just don't understand what's going on. They do not understand 大人的世界, the world of adults. So when adults are sad, 或者他们的负担很重, their burdens are very heavy, children still seem to not understand these situations. So even though father was sad, okay, go back please, that we never detected the seriousness of the situation. 没有发觉那个严重情况的严重性. Okay, we never detected the seriousness of the problem. Going on, one day, we learned that mom was coming home. 有一天, 我们听到母亲要回来. Of course, we were happy. Of course, we were happy. But not as we expected. 没有按照我们所期待的, 我们所想到的, 他就回来家. Okay? Mom lay in a hospital bed in our living room. Mother lay 躺在, okay, what is a hospital bed? 病床. Okay, a hospital 病床. In our living room, 在客厅里. I can still remember. That house is still here. Even though it was so many years ago, that house is still there. Not here, still there. Okay, and the bed was put in the living room. Why? Because, actually, from where they put the bed, she could look all the way down to the other end of the house. And she could see what was happening in the kitchen and the dining room. She could see everything. And I imagined it was very encouraging to her just to be there and to see life. A few weeks later, she returned to the hospital. 过了几个星期, 她就回到医院去. But even then, I didn't comprehend, 我没有意识到, 我不明白, that she was dying. 她正在死. I just didn't understand that she was dying. Everybody was so quiet. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but that's the way it was. Going on. Several more weeks. 再过几个星期. One day, father came to the school. 有一天, 父亲就去学校 and took us out of class. 领我们出来. 从这个课堂上叫我们出来. Okay. he said, boys, my sister was still at home. My sister was very young at that time. But he said to us, boys, it's time to go home. 时候到了，应该回家。Mother has passed away. 母亲就去世了。Going on. 或许 psychologists 心理学家会说 the loss of my mother 这个失去母亲就肯定是在我的身上大大的有影响。Perhaps it's true. It's probably 或许是对的。But going on, perhaps I've forgotten how painful it was, and that's true. Sometimes when we have very painful experiences, the most or the best solution, 最好的解决的方法 is time. Time can heal, can 治疗我们的伤心。It heals the pain of our hearts. Perhaps I've forgotten how painful it was, but I'm still surprised. 连直到现在我还是蛮惊奇 how well I coped with it all. 我能够这个应付这些事情，这一切。It still surprises me how I did it. Going on, I guess we all gained strength. I guess. 我猜 I don't know. I guess we all gained strength from the quiet dignity. Dignity is 尊严 Dignity. How do you say 沉默的尊严? Our father, my dad, he lived to be 91 years old, I think. And I think that he was very dignified, 尊严. He was a very careful person. Quiet, to be sure. Okay? From the quiet dignity 很沉默的尊严 of my father, who would not openly 不会公开的绝对不会公开的allow 让自己 okay, to be overcome with excessive grief. What does it mean to be overcome with excessive grief? 这个让这个过分的 okay, 过分的 excessive 过分的悲伤啊 excessive grief 他不愿意让这个过分的悲伤影响他 okay. I think that's the lesson I learned from my dad. In some ways, people say, 艾校长 you're not a quiet person. 你不是这么害羞这么安静的这么沉默 It's true. I'm not so quiet because my work as a teacher has required me to be that way. But if you looked inside of my heart, 你能够看我的心底, I am still quite a quiet person. Some people say I even look like my father. And my personality is like my father. I know my son's personality seems to be like mine. But I was different than my father. Well, Mrs. Ash, you can come up here. Maybe you can tell me, or tell all of us here, something that you remember about my dad. It doesn't have to be about this. Something that you remember about my father.
Well, he was a man that didn't speak very many words.
that would be very hard for you because she is a world class 世界金牌 gold medalist. Right? So that was kind of tough with my dad.
Yes. But he loved his children, and he was a good father.
Oh, yes.
A good husband, and a good father-in-law, too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So he was your 岳父, father-in-law.
Yes.
Yes. Sometimes in his later years, we would just walk with him.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to say much to Dad. You just go out for a walk with him.
He was very talented.
He was a very talented, 很有才干的, 很厉害. He was a good businessman, 他是做生意的, but he also could use his hands, and he could build things. He built several houses. 盖几个我们的家是他自己盖的. It was really quite good. Well, thank you so much here. We do have an email address. Maybe you can tell me about your father or your mother. theoldprinciple@gmail.com. And our website, 我们的网站. You can look at some of these same programs, www.theoldprinciple.org. With that, thanks for joining us, and we'll check in with you next time.
Bye-bye.